Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you that how we can use automation API with the Business Central to, provision your production database. And by provisioning of database, I don't mean how you can create a database because that's something which is still in control by Microsoft. But yeah, once you have your database in place, you do have to create company. You do need to deploy your PTE extension and pertinent extensions and your app source extensions and all other extensions. So once you have that in place, you have to uh, import and apply your configuration data. I mean, the master data and setup data and all, right? So in this example, we are going to understand that how we can do that by the use of automation APIs. And yeah, before going into depth, let's quickly go through introduction that I usually do by myself. My name is Rishabh Shukla. I'm currently working with Oli Technologies as a managing consultant. That's my GitHub profile. Feel free to browse in. And I do upload all of my videos on my YouTube channel. So far, it's only 4. So yeah, let's see where we go from here. And that's my blog. And the same video that I upload on my channel, I also do it on my blog. I've also syndicated my blog in the Microsoft community. All right. So feel free to browse in and see if you find anything interesting. So let me take you to the scenario that I'm going to perform, and I will also tell you the steps that I'm performing for doing that. Okay. So in my example, I will take a company or I will take a database. Let's say it's a production database, and it's a database provided to me by Microsoft. Let's say a production database you get from Microsoft, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to create a company in it, and I want to, deploy all my per tenant extensions, or if there is any other extensions which are there. And then I do have a configuration package. I want to, upload that configuration package as well and apply that configuration package. Now, usually you can do all this stuff by, doing it manually. That's always an option. And yeah, that's one of the way of doing things. Now, with the ongoing progress, and we have seen Microsoft working on the product, they have given some automation APIs to perform all these activities as part of your automated activity. Yeah. So if you want to go into more detail of that, you have to go through this documentation by Microsoft. It's a very clean and very neat documentation by Microsoft, very helpful. So in the left side, you can see there are bunch of automation activities that you usually do while you provision your database. One of them is, with the company, like I said, creating of a company and, applying your packages. So yeah, feel free to browse in and see examples in more detail. And this video is also done by the help of, these documentation. Okay. So as part of a prerequisite, you should have a Business Central database. You should have a working authentication 2.0 if it's a SaaS environment. If not, then you can use any other authentication with the on-prem version, because you are going to use APIs and they need authentication to work with Postman. Yeah. So to configure the authentication 2.0 with the SaaS, it's pretty easy, and there are a bunch of blogs available for that. But just to give you a quick heads up, because I've seen people sometime ask me that how we do that. So just go to portal.azure.com. You should have an account with your admin user. Okay. I'm not going to go with every prerequisite here. So go to app registration. Okay. Now on app registration, you have to go for a new app registration. I've already done one. So just give it a name. Okay. And the main things that you have to understand is that you go to authentication tab. You have to give a callback URL. In my case, it should be api.businesscentral.dynamics.com. If it's an on-prem environment, it is going to be different. If it's a SaaS environment, it's pretty much same all the time. Okay. Secrets and certificates. You have to create one, and if you already have one, you can use that. But keep in mind, you should have the value of this client secret, not this secret, because that's something again. That's a different story where people do get confused with this. Not this secret. Use this value, which gets converted into, asterisks. You have to copy it for the one time and keep it very safe. If you don't have it, uh, don't worry too much about that. It's not going to be the end of the world. Go ahead, create a new one, and just get the key. If you want to create a new one, just give it a name, give it a duration, just click add. You'll get the key here. You can just simply copy it. Okay. One last thing, you have to go to API permissions. You have to give this app a permission to your Business Central account. Again, guys, this blog is not specific to how you do authentication 2.0, but it's kind of a prerequisite, and I really thought it's going to be easier for you if you understand this process too. So just go to add a permission, and under here you will see Business Central. Click on that. Delegated permission and application permission. Just click on them one by one, select all of them, and click on add permission. Once you do that, you have to grant your consent, because some of the permissions could be in a way where you need a consent from on behalf of the organization. So just click on grant admin consent. If you have if you are an admin user, it's going to give the consent by default. If not, then you have to basically be an admin user in that case. All right. Now keep in mind, the operation that we are doing is more of a thing where you create a company. It comes with a logic where you are going to use a schema. You are going to do a schema level change. So it's very important that you have consent specifically for this scope. Okay, so within an application, these are the scopes that for which you will get token. Okay, scope is very important because it could be a reason that you get a scope and you're not able to perform an activity. Okay, because it could be the case where that scope doesn't have authority to perform that activity. Okay, so it has to be bare minimum, it has to be automation read write all. It's better if you also have this permission. Usually when I see people, they just take and grant consent for all of them. So yeah, it's POC. You can do it that way too. Okay. All right. So that is one thing. Once you have this in place, you have everything in place. Just go to the overview tab, because you're going to need some of the things from here. Okay. Now I will go to my postman, and I'm going to configure a authentication 2.0 authentication, because I'm going to use bearer token for this. So go to the authorization tab, change the type to authentication 2.0, give it a token name. Usually I keep it the same name as my app name over here. Okay, so yeah, keep the grant type as authentication to as authorization code, but keep in mind when you are trying to do it with an application, you might have to change the grant type in that case. Okay, but again, not important. So callback URL, you can keep it blank. It's for Postman, and in that case you have to give the Postman URL back to your portal.azure.com. In my case, I have given Business Central API URL. Now, authentication URL. Don't try to remember the pattern. It's quite simple. Now that's where this overview page comes into the picture. Click on endpoints, and you will see all these URLs over here. Okay, go for the so if it is asking for the authentication URL, then that will be your candidate. Okay, now keep in mind I'm using the 1.0 URL, and you have to at the end append this query where you will say question mark resource equal to your API URL for Business Central, so that it knows that I have to connect to this authorization API, and then I will call back on this URL. Okay, and same thing goes for token. Go back, go for token URL, copy it from here, paste it there. You'll get the idea. Now client ID. If you go back to the overview page, I'll close this. Now that is your client ID. Okay, copy it, paste it here. That will work. Client secret. So you have to generate a secret there. You have to use this. Scope, again, very important. So in my case, I am the owner of this tenant, so I've given activity read all. You have to do activity read write all, or any other scope that you are capable of. Okay. Once you have all these things in place, go for get new access token. So if you're not authorized for the first time, it's going to take you to the login screen. In my case, I'm already logged in, so it's not going to ask me for the URL. It's going to just generate a token for me. I'll say use token. So I have my token in place. Super. Okay, so now let's jump to the main stream of this video. I will start it by creating a new company. So for creating a new company, I will have to use this URL. I'll just paste it in and then I will explain the meaning. And the method in this case will be post, definitely, because I'm going to create something. I want to create a record into a table. So URL is going to be, so this thing is going to be a constant, and on-prem is going to be a different space. You have to give your on-prem host, and the version will be 2.0 because automation APIs come into the versioning of 2.0. BC19 is the sandbox name or the environment name. So you have, in case of production, you have to give production. Okay. Then again, after this, it's going to be similar. API / Microsoft, again, automation 2.0. Okay. Now, this one is very important. So companies, and under companies, you have this GUID. So just don't go by this. I will say I'll have to copy this company GUID here. Just give me 1 second. I'll go companies and you just have to, simply take one system ID of a company record. So kind of missed that at the first time. Think this should work. Or what I can do is I will use a get method and I will say companies. Let's see what happens. So it is running. All right, so I have my companies here. The bottom you can see them. So I'll just use the ID of this so that I can, use this as a complete URL. So I'll copy this ID and I will paste it on my company's bracket. And I will say post, so because I have to create a new record. And in the header section, I will say content type application / JSON. And in the body, I have to pass the body of my company. So it's going to be a JSON object. Okay. So in my case, let's say I will create Rishabh demo. Okay. And again, the display name, business profile ID. I'll just keep it blank for a minute. Let's see what happens now. I'll do send. So while it is doing that, it's going to take a minute or two. So yeah, you can see a new record here now. Okay, that's a good thing. And it's still not acknowledged here. So because it's still a company creation, guys, right? So it's going to take a while. So it will usually take roughly a minute or two for completing it. But let's see. Yeah, there we go. We have our company name now. Okay, so now we have a company name and you can see we have a ID. So I'll just take this ID. Okay, and for a safer side, I will just keep a copy of this ID somewhere. Okay, again, not really essential, but yeah, let's keep it handy for a minute. Now, the next thing would be that I would like to go back to that company and let's see what do we have in this company, right? So I'll go my settings and under this I will go Rishabh demo. Okay, right? So I have this company here, and clearly it doesn't have anything right now. Okay, it's a blank company, and since it's a India specific database, I do have a notification that I don't have my configuration for tax engine. All right. So next thing will be that I would like to deploy some extensions on top of it. Okay. Now there could be some extensions provided by Microsoft. We don't have to do anything for them, but there could be some customization or a per tenant extension that we have to deploy as a partner, right? So that is where this tool is going to be a bit handy for us. So you can see it has all the extension related to India. It has some extensions for W1 and some system extensions. If I go to deployment status, I don't have any further deployment going on. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is that I will deploy a custom extension that I have, and we'll see, and we'll do that using API. Okay. So I'll say new post uh, companies. Yeah, I have to copy the ID. So guys, again, for ID, because this is it's more of a system specific information. Okay, so you don't have to pass the specific company ID till now because it's just an extension. It doesn't really matter where you do that. So you can do it by just copying the Cronus company ID too. Okay, so in my case, let's do it in a proper way. I'll just use this, and the content type should be application.json /json. So yeah, we'll also do that. Okay, and it will have a JSON here. So in the body tag, I will go here and I'll say current version. So it means that I want to instantiate an extension deployment. Okay, so far you will see I'm not passing any app.json or any app file, right? I'm not doing anything like that. So I'm saying I want to schedule a deployment. Okay, I want to schedule an extension upload where I will mention that when this extension upload will happen. So I'm saying it should happen the current version. Okay, so the current version means the exact version on which I'm working right now or where the tenant is right now. Okay, if you go to the documentation, you can do it on the coming version, which is a preview, or you can do it in a backward version, which is the next minor or something like that. So yeah, feel free to go through the documentation here as well. So let's see. Do send. Oh, credentials provider not clear. Okay. So in this case, I have to generate the token again because my access token is expired. So not a big deal. Proceed, use token. All right. I'll say send. All right. So we have to understand this body very clearly now. So in this case, it is saying that you have an extension deployment request, and we have created a request for you. So these are the URLs that you can use. One of these URL is saying that it's a URL for media edit link. So if in case want to, get the information for, or you want to edit the information of this extension upload, you can use this URL. In case you want to read the extension information, then you can use this URL. Both URLs are identical. There are no changes in them, but I, to be honest, don't know the reason why they have kept two URLs here. Okay. So next step will be to submit this app file to the extension. Okay, so I'll create a new tag, and at this time, keep in mind it's the same request. I'm just updating the extension upload because I've already generated a request. So at this time, my method is going to be patch, and let me just double check my URL. Yeah, so it's the extension upload URL. So before doing this, let's see if I have anything in get. Oh, come on. The only tricky part in this whole exercise is that I always have to generate token again and again. Okay, so so far it says no content found. That is accurate, I'll say. Now, I will upload the app file. In this case, my content type is going to be application / octet stream because I'm going to pass a file to that. Okay, and I'll say if match, and in this case I will pass asterisk because so if you don't know the reason of if match, and we do pass if match tag if I'm going to update any record using patch, and in this case if the record has a EDM ID. When I say or no, not EDM, I'll say an E tag, which is different from the E tag which could be in the database. So it's more of a timestamp thing. If you have a modified version of that record in the database and you're not clear to that, then you get the latest EDM by getting this record, and then you pass that EDM there. If you don't see any difference to that, just pass asterisk on this. Okay, so let's keep this example really simple. Okay, so I'll say now body, and in this body I will select my app file. By keep in mind I've selected binary because I have to pass the app file in a binary stream. All right, so I will go to my extension repo, and I have a extension for this example. Okay, all right, let's see. So I'll do send. Okay, so if your response says 204 no content found, it says the server has successfully processed your request. Okay, now if I go back to my actions and or manage, if I say deployment status, you will see it. No, so far there is no request created over here. And if I also refresh this screen, I don't see any extensions over here. Okay. Now, because you have just submitted your app, you have just updated the extension, you have not asked your system to install or deploy this app for you. Okay. Now that brings us to our next command. Okay. So for doing that, and guys, keep in mind there is a slight difference between the documentation. Maybe Microsoft at some point is going to change that. That in that their documentation it says /content, but the URL that you have to use for patching any extension file is the URL that you get here. Okay, so just select this URL, use patch method. It should work. Okay, so I'll use post method. I'll paste this, and again I have to use my company ID. So I'll have copied it somewhere. There you go. And then I should have created a variable for this. I don't know why I didn't do that. Okay, so that's my company ID. It will also ask for an extension ID. So the post method that you have called has also given you a system ID for this extension upload. Okay, so I will say post there. All right, so let's just cross check if I don't have anything else. Nope. Okay, if I do send, just to avoid we don't have any authentication issues, I will just generate a new token very quickly. Proceed, use token. All right. For some reason it didn't work for the first time. I don't know why. So never mind. I might have done something wrong. So if I go to manage now and I say deployment status, I can see there is an app which is getting deployed. It says SRM escalator, blah, 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 in progress. Okay. Now there are APIs which will give you the status of the app. Okay. So if I say here, extension content, and if I use a get method with the authorization of 2.0, I'll just generate a new token. For some reason it's not giving me the status. There must be an API which will give you the status of this extension upload, but never mind, it's not that too important for us. So there you see. So our extension deployment is now complete, which is good. So far we have an extension, we have a company. Now the next step would be that we will try to import our configuration package. Okay, so for doing that, I'll show you first if we have any configuration packages on this. So in this company, I'll go to configuration packages. So we don't have any, right? So first thing that you have to do is that you have to create a new configuration package record. Okay, so for that you have to call an API post, and in the company ID I will paste this again. Now keep in mind at this point your company ID is going to play a crucial role because now you have company specific operations. Okay, um, so let's say 2.0. Let's generate a new token to avoid any confusions later on. Okay, content type will be JSON, and in the body tag I'll go raw, and I'll just copy paste this information here. So in my case, I've just taken a export of the standard evaluation package of nav. In your case, you can take any other package which you already have available in your place. Yeah. So if I say send, so now I have a record, and keep in mind I have to use this system ID at some point. Okay. So if I go back to Business Central now, I do have a record here. If I click here, I can see it has a header, but doesn't have a line on it, any lines on it. Yeah. So that's one thing. We have a configuration package record now. Now the next thing would be in a similar way, like we deployed our app, we are going to, update this configuration. Okay. So for that, I will do a patch request, and I will take the company ID, which is here, copy, paste. Okay. Next thing will be the configuration packages ID, which will be here. So let's see. So for this ID, you have to go back to your post request, copy this ID, okay, and then just paste it here, right? Now the package code will be the package code that you have passed here. You can take it from the response of the post request, or you can take it from the request that you have sent earlier, either ways, right? So now I will take this and cut, paste. So authorization will be again 2.0. I'll just generate a new token. Use token, and in the headers I will say content type, and this will be octet stream. And again guys, because since we are handling with streams here, you have to pass a if match header as well. Okay, um, in the body you have to pass the binary stream again. So in my case it was my configuration file, and there it is. Okay, so hopefully we have everything in place. Let's see. I'll say send. Okay, so again, I got a status of 204, no content found, which means that this request has been successfully received by the server. Now, like we did with our previous request of extension, we are going to do it here as well. So as of now, there will be nothing on the configuration package. If you still go here, you won't see anything. Okay, that's because just you have just updated the package there. You have not asked your system to import it there. Okay. So my next request would be post method. And at this time, I'm saying import this configuration package. Okay. So now I will copy this company ID. I will paste it here, and the configuration packages will be the package ID. So I can take it from here. Okay. And Microsoft.nav.import, that's a function that is going to be called with this API. And let's do this part again. Token, proceed, use token. Let's just double check I'm not missing anything. Hopefully not. Okay, so now it says 200. Okay, which is a good thing. So now if I refresh, I will see I have a updated configuration package. I can see my tables. I can see the records in here. So I have the package imported in my system, but the package is still not applied. So if I go to my payment terms, for example, so I won't see anything here, okay? Because I have not asked system to apply this package. So that will be the last step of this exercise, where I'm going to copy this URL and I'll say new post, and again the configuration ID and everything. So I'll just copy the configuration ID this time from here. I think I was in the wrong spot. Okay. Okay, so that's my configuration ID. I will also copy my company ID. So I'll take it from here and I'm going to paste it over here. Okay. Again, let's just quickly take a new token. All right. So I'll say post and it says 200. Okay, again. Now let's see what is happening here. So now you can see we have a error in this because now the system has tried to, apply the package. Okay, that's good. That's good. The agenda of this exercise is not to see the errors. The agenda of this exercise was to see if the packages are getting applied or you are able to, perform this activity. Now, if I go to payment terms, I don't know, maybe it will take a while or something, but we should have the package applied in some time very soon. So for some reason, it's still not here. Let's see what happened. So that was my configuration package ID. That is good. And that was my company ID. Okay. So it did trigger, which is a good sign because it has updated the information on the number of errors. I'm not sure why it has not updated the information on the configuration or on the masters. Just thinking if we, let's see the error. Eight six two nine. I think there is some metadata issue. All right, let's do one thing. 8629. Let's put up a filter on this table and we'll just remove it manually. All right, I'll say delete line. That is good. Clear filter. All right, so I will submit this request again. It says okay, which is good. I don't have any errors. That is also good. Oh, there you go. Big relief, huh? All right, so there apparently the standard evaluation package that we have from the Microsoft, it has a table which is not in my schema, but again, my BC19 is a preview release, so I can't really raise a ticket on that. But yeah, that's one of the things that we have to take care when it goes to errors or something. So right now you can see the primary key fields are there, and I will explain some more things while the data is getting updated into the system because I can still see only primary key fields. So let's understand what has happened a few minutes back, right? We did everything step by step. So typically, if you do it for the first time, it's going to be a heavy exercise for you. Agreed. Now, let's say you have created a process like this and you want to do, you have a ISV solution or something where you have to do this exercise manually every time, not the execution of APIs, but on the other hand, the uploading of package, the installing of extensions, creation of company. What if you create an automation tool for this? And I have heard that's a poor example, but I'm very curious and very fond of using Power Automate in all those scenarios. So in your case, feel free to create any separate extension for this, right? Because it's just a matter of calling APIs with the right amount of credentials and by passing the extension app in that. So use any other application, .NET, even AL for a matter, you can use that too because you're just passing the app file as a stream, right? So you can create something like this. So since this morning I've tried some iteration, I was using this to deploy my extensions in some of the databases. You can see all runs. I can see some success here because I'm it's trying it for today. And if I put it into a right process and if I just take few things in the parameter, this whole thing will be processed by itself. So if someone at some time says that I want to deploy this extension or I want your extension at my database, so what you need to really ask is that is there a company that you need to create? If not, or you're going live, right? You have to create a company. You can say, okay, that's the name of my company. That's the name of my extension, or that's a name or list of my extensions. Here are the app files. That's the configuration packages, right? You can just run the APIs. It will take it step by step. It will run the process and you don't have to do anything. You can just wait and watch for things to happen. Okay. So in my case, I have done that. And yeah, I got two success hit. I was still trying to run that with the flow. And yeah, at some point I was able to install the application and the apps were working fine in the databases. All right. So let's quickly see before we wind up this video if we have all the information on the customer card. There you go. So now you have the customer, you have your masters in place. So yeah, you can now start using it, right? So that's the power of automation API. You can use it for provisioning of your databases, right? And for setting up your system because it's a similar kind of exercise you do before you hand it over to your end customer on at the time of go live, right? So yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching the video and have a good day. Thank you.